Hi everyone, today I'm going to start polity. So first of all, I am going to start Regulating Act of 1773. This regulating act of 1773 significance is the British decided to regulate East India Company. East India Company will be regulated by the British, demarcated the political and administrative function. Political plus administrative functions had been demarcated, laid foundation for central administration in the India. So, central administration foundation. Governor of Bengal was designed as Governor of Bengal now. Governor of Bengal also was there. Okay, and executive council of 4 members was formed, assisted by governor general. Officers are prohibited from the private trade, and first governor general was Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings was the first governor general. Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. Okay, and one chief justice and 3 judges were there in that. So that was all about the Regulating Act. Now next one is Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act demarcated the political and commercial functions. Commercial affairs to be managed by court of directors. So here was the court of directors. Okay, and political affair to be managed by newly formed board of control. So board of control will manage the political functions, and board of control can supervise the operation of government and revenue, and British government got complete control over companies affair. So complete control over East India Company by British government. Next one is Charter Act 1833. Charter Act 1833. Governor General of Bengal was designed as Governor General of India. He became now Governor General of India. Bombay Madras Presidency lost their legislative power. Now Bombay and Madras will become under the Governor General of Bengal, and Governor General got complete control over civil and military. Civil plus military powers in the hand of Governor General. Law Commission was constituted. So Law Commission was in this constituted. Law made from these acts were named as acts. Now this will known as the acts. And the first Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. So Bentinck became the first Governor General. This act tried but failed to introduce open competition for civil services. Okay, and East India Company has to end its commercial activities. So end of commercial activities. End of commercial activities. So this was all about Charter Act of 1833. Now 1853. Charter Act of 1853. A separate governor was appointed for Bengal. So Bengal as a separate governor. Okay, and extended the company rule to possess Indian territory, and separated the legislative and executive function. So separation of powers between the legislative and executive, and open competition was come in this act. Open competition for the civil service examination. Number of court directors were reduced from 24 to 18. Court of Directors (COD), which was formed in Pitt's India Act, now it's decreased, and the legislative become a separate entity. Central Legislative Council was formed, and its function as a mini parliament. So Central Legislative Council was formed as a mini parliament. Okay, and 6 legislative members were in that council. Local representative for the first time legislative council. 4 members from the local provincial government like Madras, Bombay, Bengal, Agra, and 2 members appointed by Britishers. Now next one is Government of India Act 1858. 1858. Okay, so this is East India Company was abolished. What abolished? East India Company was abolished. Court of Director and Board of Control. Court of Director plus Board of Control was abolished. It was also abolished, Governor General of India was designated Viceroy of India. So Viceroy of India. Okay. An office of Secretary of State was formed. So what formed? Secretary of State. It was formed. And a 15-member council was formed as an advisory body with Secretary of State as chairman, also called the Act for Good Governance. It is called the Act for Good Governance, okay, in India. And first Viceroy from India was Lord Canning. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy and Government of India 1858 and direct representative of British Crown also. A 15-member council was formed as an advisory body with Secretary of State as a chairman. Next one is Indian Council Act. Indian Council Act 1861. This act was legislative power of Bombay and Madras was restored. Now what they did, Bombay and Madras power, they now restored again. And Viceroy can appoint Indian as a non-official member. So Indian as a appointed as a non-official member. Non-official. It's not official yet. It's a non-official member. And new legislative council was established like Bengal, in northwestern frontier province and in Punjab. So there a legislative council has been established and Viceroy was empowered to make rules and orders. Viceroy can issue ordinance during the emergency. So ordinance power come in 1861 Act. Lord Canning nominated three Indian Legislative Council, that was Maharaja of Patiala, Raja of Banaras, Sir Dinkar Rao, and portfolio system also came in this act. Portfolio system. Okay, so these were some initiatives that taken in 1861. Now Indian Council Act of 1892. So this act was increased the number of member in non-official. So non-official member number has been increased. Legislative member can be discuss budget and ask question. So they can ask the budget and ask the questions also. Okay. And nomination system for non-official member, like Viceroy can appoint non-official member for Central Legislative Council. Governor can appoint a non-official member for Provincial Legislative Council. Now next one is Indian Council Act 1909. So this was Central Legislative Council was expanded. Now the council expanded 16 to 60 member be there. Members count in Provincial Assembly was not constant. So Provincial Assembly also expanded the members. Member in council were empowered as supplementary questions and move resolution of budget. Before that they can't ask the supplementary questions, but in 1909 they are able to ask the supplementary questions. Provincial Legislative Council was allowed to have non-official majority. Indian were admitted in Executive Council of Viceroy and Governor. Separate electorate system was the separate electorate system. Muslim can vote only for Muslims. Also provided for local bodies and Jamidar. And introduced Lord Minto, become the father of communal electorate. And this act is called the Morley-Minto reform. So Lord Morley was Secretary of State and Lord Minto Viceroy of State, and Satyendra Prasad Sinha, first Indian to join the Viceroy Executive Council, appointed as the low member in this. Okay, so these are some parameters were taken. Next one is Governor of India Act 1919, also known as Montesquieu-Chelmsford reform. Montesquieu-Chelmsford reforms. Montesquieu-Chelmsford reform. Montesquieu is the secretary of the. It is the secretary. He is the secretary, and he is the viceroy. Okay. So British declared that an act of introduce of responsible government of India, and provincial subject were divided into reserve subject. It's administered by the governor along with the executive council and not responsible to the legislative council. Transfer subject administered by the governor with the aid of ministers and ministers are responsible to the legislative council. Central and provincial legislature were authorized to make law on with respective. This system is popularly known as diarchy. So diarchy was established at the provincial level. Budget Provincial budget were separated from central budget. Provincial legislature were empowered to enact this budget. Provincial for establishment of public service commission. So public service commission was there, and High Commissioner for India was set up in London. Transferred some function of Secretary of State. Okay, so Central Legislative Council was replaced by bicameral legislation. So diarchy was the first fundamental of this act, and second was bicameral. Bicameral, we can say the bicameral system was there in this. Okay, so what was that bicameral? Bicameral government was there. And one more thing, what we discussed about diarchy in the state. Now franchise was limited to affluent people only, who gives property, tax and education, and separate electorate were introduced for Sikh Anglo-Indian and Christians and Europeans. So this was complete about the Government of India Act 1919. Now Simon Commission. So Simon Commission, it is a statutory commission. It is a statutory commission. So there was 7 member in that commission. It is known as White Commission also. Chairman was the John Simon, and submitted report in 1930. So abolition of diarchy, continuation of communal electorate, establishment of the Federation of British India and Province. So what he recommended, like which diarchy we had adopted in 1919, he said no, there should be no diarchy. Continuation of communal electorate, establishment of Federation of British India and Province, and responsible government in province. So reason for boycott of commission, because all members commission were white, and commission was appointed 2 years before schedule. It was scheduled, but it was appointed before the 2 years. That was the reason behind that. Next is Communal Award. I'm giving the simple like things which are important for the exams. So what is the Communal Award? Communal Award was the scheme of representation of minorities. It was the scheme to representation to the minorities. So announced by Ramsay MacDonald. It was the British PM. So separate electorate were extended to scheduled caste, and Gandhiji fast led to the Pune Pact, and Hindus to have joined electorate, and reserved seats for the scheduled caste. That was the parameter. Now Government of India Act 1935. Okay, it is a 6 bicameral legislation was introduced. That was in Bengal, then in Bombay, then in Madras, then in Assam, then in Bihar, and then in United Province. So 6 provincial assembly where bicameral system was there. Extended franchise to the 10% peoples. So franchise accepted. Extended the separate electorate for scheduled caste, labor and women. So scheduled caste, labor and women all will get the separate electorate. Composition of act was 10 schedule. There was a 10 schedule and 321 articles in that. And provisions for establishment of RBI will be established. Council of India will be established. Abolition of the Council of India, sorry. So abolition of the Council of India. Provisions for establishment of Federal Public Service Commission, Provincial Public Service Commission, and Joint Public Service Commission, and administration of provision of All India Federation, province and princely state. And diarchy was abolished at provinces but allowed to the center. Divided the powers between federal list, provincial list, and concurrent list. Introduction of responsible government in provinces. Government should act according to the advice of ministers, and came to effect 1937 but discontinued in 1939. So this was the whole provisions of the 1937 Act. Now we are going to discuss about the Indian Independence Act. Indian Independence Act. So this act was a provision of partition of India. Partition of India. 1947 it was came. So abolish the office of viceroy. So viceroy office will be abolished. Office of secretary of state. Secretary of state. Okay, abolition of viceroy, and governor general was given power to assent or veto to the subject. So veto can be there for the governor general. Discontinued the appointment of member of civil service. Ended the British rule in the India, and India became a sovereign state. Now India became a sovereign state. Okay, so here India became a sovereign state. Provision of governance of India by Government of India Act 1935, and granted freedom to princely state to either join or remain independent. Empowered Constituent Assembly as a sovereign body or frame and adopt their own constitution. So what are the provisions? Like provision for the partition of India, and Emperor of India. What in British dropped its title Emperor of India. Now British will never be Emperor of India. Abolished the office of viceroy, office of secretary of the state. Governor general was given power to assent or veto the bill. Discontinued the appointment of member for civil services now, and ended the British rule in India, and India became the sovereign state. So provision for the governance of India by Government of India Act 1935 at will, and granted freedom to the princely state to either join or remain independent. Empowered Constituent Assembly as a sovereign body to frame and adopt their own constitution. So these was the framework in this act. All right. So today we discussed about